Hello, everyone. Welcome. Let's get YouTube set up here. Hello. I'm gonna set up. Hello, user BP. How are you tonight? How's everybody? Tonight, we're going to be talking about manifesting with primal energy. We're broadcasting on TikTok and YouTube. So welcome, everybody. Hi, Kelly. How are you? Turn on my thing. How was your new moon? How's everybody? Introduce yourself. Say hello. Tell us where you're from. Hi, April. How are you tonight? I'm doing good. Just getting set up here. So welcome for everybody. We're doing Meditation Monday. And hello, Anna Sedona. Anna Sedona. Are you in Sedona, Anna? Hi, Kathleen. North of Seattle. Welcome. Anna, are you in Sedona? Oh, you are? Nice. What part of Sedona are you in? Because I'm about to go to Sedona. I live there part-time. I'm in the village. Yes. Nice. How long have you been in Sedona? Oh yeah, I think you have a picture of the stupa, yeah, on your profile. Nice. That's one of my favorite places. I like to take people to the medicine wheel there. My cat's here. Actually, outside, yes, I've been to ceremonies in the village. Oh, nice. Yeah, you like the stupa too? Oh, cool. Are you like in Cottonwood or Cornville or somewhere like that? I like Cornville a lot. I wish I would have knew about Cornville. Because there's some, Rimrock. Oh, Rimrock is nice. One of my favorite places is the well, Montezuma Well. And that's not too far from Rimrock. And also I had a friend, I think they still have it, but my friend used to have a wolf sanctuary right there in Rimrock. And that's a nice place. But she moved and I think somebody else bought it. So welcome, Anna. Maybe we'll run into each other. I'm going to be in Sedona in about a week. So how's everybody tonight? Thanks for joining in. We're going to talk about manifesting with primal energy. Oh, you know what? Healing Wolf? Oh, yeah, I love Healing Wolf and John. Oh my gosh. I'm so sad they moved because I loved going to that sanctuary and visiting the wolves. And unfortunately, my favorite wolves, they passed a few years ago. So I haven't been to the new place with the new wolves. But hopefully I can make it out there. But awesome. That's so cool. I have some really great pictures and memories of the wolf sanctuary. So how is everybody tonight? How was your new moon? We've been talking a lot about the eclipse, and then we just had this new moon. And so now we're kind of grounding into the energies. And tonight I wanted to talk about manifesting with primal energy and using this crescent moon to really manifest and to integrate and process through the energies that the eclipse brought. And Sunflower says that it made her exhausted. So some of you may be exhausted and maybe emotional and maybe, thinking about what's next in my life. What do I want to do now? And what I've been saying right now, it's the perfect time to really think about what has been going on the last month in your life and what it is that the eclipse showed you. And now with this new moon, crescent moon, because actually in the ancient ways, the crescent moon which if you look outside is now peaking, was actually the most powerful time for manifestation. I know in this modern age, we really focus a lot on the new moon, and the new moon is the dark moon where we put our seeds down and we kind of release and we begin a new cycle. But in the ancient ways, it was the crescent moon that was the most powerful part of manifesting. And it was the time when we really sat with the celestial energies and we really went deep into who we are and our path and our destiny and what it is we want going forward. So it's really right on cue that you're feeling exhausted because you're kind of releasing. Exhaustion is really a releasing energy. It's like telling you, okay, we need to integrate, we need to process, we need to go deeper within and see what the next steps are. So when you're exhausted and tired, it's a good time to just lay back, relax, rest, and think about now what it is you want going forward, especially now that we've passed the eclipse and we're in that first new moon and we're heading into solstice, which is going to be very powerful this year. I also wanted to talk about how this year, why it's really important to get clear with your vision and manifestations and your way forward is because next year is going to be what we call the year of the new fire. Especially May, exactly 1 year from now, May of 2024, is in the Aztec calendar, the Tonopawali, is when one fire is ending, so another fire can begin. And we're going to see a lot of changes from now until then. And just think about how things have already been changing, right? And Kathleen says, yes, things have been changing in my life. At first looking at it, I thought it was dark, but on reflection, everything, when it's change, it's sometimes overwhelming. It's sometimes hard. It's hard because we get comfortable with where we are, but a lot of things are going to be changing in this next year. And it's really good to understand your own cycles and especially the cycles of the moon and know when to start things and when to finish things. So this new moon is really a time of getting to the heart of what it is and thinking about in 1 year's time, what is my vision? Not just like 1 month's time, because we have 1 solid year of hitting our vision. And this year in our calendar system is the year of the arrow. It's like the reed, and that's what we make arrows from. It's that really strong grass that grows near the swamp, like what do they call it? Cattails, they call it reed. It's that year. It's the time to get really clear with what it is you want and the mark that you're headed towards. Like, where is your arrow headed to? And this is the time to really get that vision going. And then what are the steps necessary for me to hit that mark? Because we've got like 1 solid year of like really working with this universal energy, this primal energy to really get things in motion. And then think about like in 1 year's time, you could be at your mark where you want to be. You said things were dark, but on reflection, it may not be. It's true. Yeah, it's, with life, everything goes up and down. Everything goes up and down. In fact, my mom said, if it doesn't go up and down, you're not living. Just think about it that way. So sometimes the darkest things will lead us to the lightest of things. So if we think about it in that way, we can survive anything. And that's really the teachings for this time. The teachings of this time and the prophecies and what the ancestors left us all talk about how you have to go inside for the answers. Nothing is outside of you. Everything is inside of you. Because if you don't understand what's inside of you, everything outside is going to be scary and chaotic. But when you understand who you are and the foundations of who you are, and you find your inner stability and you're not moving and shaking, that's when you're going to hit your mark. That's when you're going to be able to ride those waves of the up and down, because everything's going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. That's what they call the law of rhythm. The law of rhythm is constantly moving, like music. It's moving up and down, but there's a constant beat. You know how, like, for those of you who are musician, there's a constant beat. It's like 2/4 time, 4/4 time. There's constant beat. And that's the beat of the universe. That's the primal energy that I'm talking about. That's what you want to tap into, not the melody that's always going up and down, but the beat, which is the heartbeat of Mother Earth, which is the energy that we tap into when we're really manifesting. It says you want to continue healing and be better as a person emotionally. Yeah. And I think that's the thing you're talking about, is stability, because with emotions go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, right? And so imagine, what is it that you have to create in your life that is going to be the stability, so that even though things are going up and down, what is your heartbeat? What is the rhythm that always stays the same? And those are what we call the constants in our life. We have constants, and then we have variables. Variables are always changing, but the constants are what we want to focus on. Your daughter moved across country with her family. Oh, that's hard. If they're far away from you, that's like giving you a lot of space and time to think about things, right? Especially if you're really used to seeing them all the time. Oh, yeah. Her time to bloom out from under a strong mother. That's a really interesting thing, because this last eclipse was really about healing the mother wound. And it's interesting you say that. It's like really about her stepping out on her own, because she's healing and she's finding her independence and her truth, right? And then I probably will make the relationship much better and stronger too. Be much more assured and confident. And then when she really needs her mom, she'll call. Good evening, Divine Discernment. I love that name. Divine Discernment 111. That's actually really powerful, because we're also in a 111. 1 is the number of the primal. Actually, the primal energy is 0. You know how you always talk about the 0 point? That's where we want to get to right now, is the reset. And you're hearing that buzzword everywhere. You're hearing that buzzword everywhere, the 0 point. That's what we're calling primal energy. That's the primordial mother. Oh, you're welcome, Sunflower. That's why you're here, right? Yeah. That's hard to let go. I think one of the hardest relationships is the mother-daughter. It's one of the hardest relationships because it's such a strong bond. It's a very strong bond. Women and mothers and daughters form very close bonds, and it's very emotional, and it's very hard too. When you have a strong mother, it's hard for the daughter to find their own wings. And then sometimes when you don't have a nurturing, caring mother, it's also very hard. There's a lot of aspects to the mother wound, and the mother wound is all about the emotions. So when we're talking about primal energy, a lot of it has to do with our relationship to our mother, and not just our mother, our physical mother, but Mother Earth. Think about, in our world right now, what is our relationship to Mother Earth? How are we taking care of her? How are we honoring the original instructions? How are we taking care of the environment for the next 7 generations? Those were the original instructions, was how are we going to, take care of the earth? And that's our first mother. And how we take care of the earth is a direct reflection of our relationship with our own mother as well. So it's a very deep thing. And when we talk about primal energy, or the 0 point, what we're really talking about is our authentic emotions, our authentic energy. A teacher of mine told me a long time ago that the very foundation of who we are, it has to be like authentic in order for it to be powerful. And so when we repress our emotions and we shove them down, we are no longer authentic. And authentic rage, or what they call sacred rage, is more powerful than inauthentic niceness or politeness, or trying to appease everybody. That's not powerful. The real power is when we can be authentic with our emotions, and we can express them, and we can heal them, and we can learn to understand them, and not let them rule over us or take over. You know how emotions can really take over, and they can really mess up your life? Emotions are one of the most powerful forces on planet Earth, and that's a very primal energy. There's very primal things to it. Like, when you're, think about what are the primal energies. Of course, there's the sexual energy. That's a very primal energy. Anger, rage, that could be a very primal energy. It's like an energy that just, and you think about it. Think about, like, very primal energies have a very strong urge attached to it. And if we don't heal those urges and the unhealed wounded parts of those urges, they can really run havoc. That's why a lot of people have addiction problems. They have problems with those urges because they take over. But at the same time, those urges that are very primal are very powerful. And when we can use them for the good versus, destruction, like creation, like sexual energy can be used to create a new life, versus destroy. They can also destroy our lives because people get taken over by these energies and pick the wrong partners, or, have too many partners, or get diseases, or all this stuff. So it's like thinking about now in our life, what are the primal energies in our life? What is the healing around those primal energies? And how can we use those primal energies for creation versus destruction? And then thinking about, like, the long-term effects of 1 year. That's why I wanted to talk about it today, because it's almost exactly 1 year from now that we'll have this new fire. And this is, most people won't even know, but it's one of the most powerful moments of our life. If you are, I would say, like, probably over the age of like 25, you may never see this again in your life. It's a 52-year cycle. Like the babies and stuff, they'll be older, but they'll see another 52-year cycle. But we who are adults, we won't have this opportunity. And this is a life-changing, generational changing thing. Every 52 years, the last 52-year cycle we went through, we're still living through those changes. It was like when the vaccine was invented, like different vaccines were invented 52 years ago, like was when the computers were just starting. And a lot of the things that now are just our everyday lives were started. So if you look around, like really, from 2024, that's going to be a new beginning. That's a 0 point. And somebody says that you have tickets to visit the 0 point. Is that like a conference or something? Lots of emotions for me back to begin. Yeah. Wow, I'm really meant to be here tonight. This is so full of synchronicities for my current journey. Oh, welcome, Constant Chaos. Hello, dear one. Hello, Rediddy. Hello. Hello, Sonia. This seems to be a creative time for me. I'm working on my wood burning and leatherwork things. That's good. That's good. That's the things you should be doing with this time, is creativity. Welcome, Shakan. Now is the time to really get creative, to think about things. This last eclipse new moon cycle was so powerful, and it was really taking us back to a new beginning. I don't know. Did you guys feel that? Because there's this like Mercury retrograde energy. So there was a lot of old things, going through old old memories or people from your past coming back, or just like reflection. That's what I love about Mercury retrograde time, is really it's a time of deep reflection and looking back at your history and thinking about like, oh yeah, probably the leather working and the burning and all that stuff was something that, you've been doing for a while, or, you have a history with it. And like when you go and create something new, now you're going into it and there's like all this memory and what we call wins around it. And there's something that comes forward to that from that, because when we go into creative works, what we're doing is we're remembering things. Now we're going to kind of go a little deeper with it, because the things that you're really good at, like you sound like a very creative person, especially when you're working with something like ancient, like leather and wood burning. And those are kind of older crafts, It's something that's in you from past lives. It's something that maybe even some of you may have been passed down creative projects like jewelry making or knitting or crocheting or something that your parent did or your grandparents did. And those are like what we call wins or old wins. And some old wins we really want to release. And that's what a retrograde period will do, is tell you, oh yeah, I want to release that. And then also retrograde times, remember, like they're good memories. Like, oh yeah, I remember I used to do that and I like to do that and I want to do that again and this and that. And you start getting a fuel for what's you want to do going forward, right? Yeah, you did a review and released. Yeah, that's good. So it's like, you want to now take whatever this retrograde and eclipse and new moon. I mean, it was pretty intense. If you're sensitive to energy these last months, last month or two, it's pretty intense. It was an intense April. And now in May, as we head into June, which is going to quickly lead us to summer solstice. We're quickly heading to the summer solstice. And it's the time now to think about, where am I headed? What seeds do I want to put in the ground? And think about it like this: the seeds that you're putting into your life, because the seeds are like fruits, they're going to fruit eventually. And you want to put down a lot of like thoughts. Think of your seeds like thoughts. And these thoughts, want to be intentional. So what kind of intentional seeds are you going to leave? Are they going to be the annuals that are just good for this season? Or are they perennials, which will keep blooming year after year if you take care of them and you nourish them and you water them? Also, as we head into the solstice, this is the time of the hummingbird, Huitzilopochtli, and that energy is about discipline. And discipline is something that, we could all work on. Discipline is really what makes those seeds bloom. Because if we don't water them consistently, if we don't, take care of them, if we don't get rid of the weeds, if we don't, keep our mind clear and focused and don't get distracted, those seeds will quickly dissipate and just sit in the ground. And then, how like with weeds, one day you water them and then they just grow like crazy. But now it's like a discipline, and that's what the summer is really about. And that's what that primal energy is that you can use the primal energy that we now have in this kind of dark moon, crescent moon time period, put the seeds of intention down, and then lay down the foundation of discipline. What is the action needed daily that will water those seeds so that in 1 year's time, you hit your mark? You will see it actually happen. You will see the manifestation of it. And I think that's the part that, we don't like to hear about in manifestation. People really like to talk about the thoughts and the feelings behind it. And, oh, I just can manifest it. But manifestation really is about the action and the daily discipline that we put towards it that then grows it. Because otherwise, if we just keep thinking and we keep, saying one day we'll do it, it'll never fruit. It won't have, it'll just stick in the ground and stay there. It won't actually burst open and, bloom. You've been doing your leather for 10 years. That's, yeah. So many hummingbirds visiting me lately. I have a hummingbird tattoo and I've held them. That's awesome. The hummingbird, think about the hummingbird and the energy that they have to use to flap their wings. Have you seen an actual hummingbird and how tiny they are? But then because their wings are flapping so fast that they look so much bigger, their presence is so much bigger because they're exuding all that energy, and they live off of like sugar water. Does anybody have a hummingbird feeder and you feed them sugar water? That's what they're constantly burning sugar. So that's why they stand for the sweetness of life, because they're constantly sugar. And they need a lot of energy to burn all those calories because they're just constantly fluttering around. And yet when they sleep, their little nests are like so sweet. They're so small. They're so small and tiny. Last Friday, Black Moon was like magic. So many lessons and blessings. What should we feed them? Yeah, you can feed them sugar water. I mean, the best thing to actually do is plant hummingbird, flowers. They have certain flowers that they like. If you're in an area where there's hummingbirds, like in Sedona, there's hummingbirds everywhere, and I have all kinds of feeders everywhere. But, here in Colorado, I've seen like one, I have a feeder, but, thanks for the roses, Kathleen. So I planted like hummingbird, because they migrate through, but they're not here for very long. Right now, we have this huge moth thing going on, and the moths are everywhere. So, it just depends on your environment. But the hummingbird, there's a lot of spiritual meanings around the hummingbird. But right now, the hummingbird is talking about discipline. And when it comes through watch, now that you're watching and you're kind of aware, for those of you who are on here, look to the hummingbird as a messenger for you through this next month, especially around the summer solstice. And when you see the hummingbird, okay, everybody pay attention. When you see the hummingbird, speak your intention to the hummingbird. Okay, this is how it goes. You speak your intention to the hummingbird, and then the hummingbird will do whatever. When the hummingbird comes back, this is the same for butterflies. When the hummingbird comes back, it means that the spirit world has heard your prayer. They have heard your intention. So watch for the hummingbird now and do that and see, and then let me know how it goes. You put, with the hummingbird, you want to do 4 parts water to 1 cup sugar. And you want to make sure that you change it regularly, especially in the summertime. So you boil 4 cups water to 1 part sugar. You let it dissolve in the boiling water, and then you let it cool and sit, and then you put it in your feeder. And that's what you should be feeding the hummingbirds. Don't feed them the stuff that they sell with the dyes and all that stuff. But the biggest thing is you have to keep your hummingbird feeder clean if you're going to do it that way. Otherwise, the best thing is also to, put hummingbird flowers where you can, because they have certain flowers that their little beaks go in, and those are the best ones. You have a hummingbird tattoo? Sweet Pea says, oh, wow, I never thought about that correlates to what they eat. They're my favorite bird, but I've never seen them in person. Oh, really? Well, come to Sedona. They're everywhere all year round. That's what I love about Sedona. And then they come to my window, and because I have a hummingbird feeder, and they're like, where's our food? Where's our food? They're super sweet. And they're super smart. Hummingbirds are super smart, and they're super spiritual. So you think about like messengers, because people always ask me about the animals and totems and what they mean and this and that. But the birds, like hummingbirds, have a special meaning to the spirit world. Butterflies have a special meaning of transformation, but they're also messengers of the spirit world. Moths are also spiritual messengers. And you think about, if the bird or the animal is a daytime animal versus a nighttime animal, and that has a different meaning. And then also around the primal energy, one of the ways that the spirit world communicates with us with primal energy is in the dreams. So when you have animal dreams, pay attention to what those animals are and look for the ancient meaning of the animal. I know they have all these like spiritual dictionaries now and whatnot, but you always want to go back to the most ancient meaning and the stories around those animals and the ancient concepts, because that will tell you what the primal energy is. And when I'm talking about primal energies, I'm talking about ancient energy, ancient from the beginning of time energy. That's what we want to focus on. April says, what is the message of red cardinals? Red cardinals represent the ancestors and especially like the grandfathers. Look at the cardinal. He looks like an old grandfather. Let's see. You have raccoons, owls, and hawks that visit every day. Those are actually really powerful messengers. Yeah, discipline. Sweet Pea says, you're bringing them up and saying what the meaning is goes with what I'm having to practice now, discipline. All of us are we're all in a new practice of discipline. Discipline is what's going to hit the mark. And I think in the spiritual, I lived in Sedona for 9 years. And in the spiritual kind of new age stuff, that's the thing they don't talk about is the discipline needed with manifestation. And you can use the universal primal energies, but without discipline, you'll miss every opportunity because discipline is the daily string that sews it together. Dragon dreams. Dragon is powerful. Dragon, it depends on the dragon. Okay, so like the thing about dragon, okay, so like if you're in the East, like Asian culture and my Korean culture, the dragon is power. And there's a lot of mythology around dragons and how powerful they are, how they once ruled the earth, and how when you have favor with the dragons, they will help you specifically with money, power, protection, and overcoming obstacles. But then when you look at like Western culture, European culture, the dragon represents like fear. And the dragon is something you have to conquer or overcome, or, so it kind of depends on your cosmology and also what you were doing with the dragon. So when you're dreaming, you have to look at the whole cosmology of it. And then first of all, you got to think about your own subconscious and think, like, what is my relationship with dragons? Do I even have a relationship with dragons? Have I ever thought of it? Have I ever worked with them? Have I had an affinity? Some people have dragons as their protectors and they work with them. They're part of their pantheon, they're gods. Everybody has a spirit guides, as we talk about. We call them pantheons, and everybody has like protector energies, and some of them are animals. They're mystical animals, like unicorns could be one, dragons could be one, phoenix could be one, thunderbird. All these are what we call mystical creatures, but they were real at one time. They're ancient. That's ancient energy. Let's see here. My son and I have been the black and yellow monarchs and dreams of cats. Dead cats. The thing about dead cats too is you have to see like the whole context of the dream and what you were doing, what was going on. And then you also, take it back to what is going on in my life right now. Because this is the way the dreams work, and this is how primal energy works, is that you have a daytime conscious life, and then you have a nighttime subconscious, unconscious life, right? And those two things intersect. They are speaking a story of our life. And so when you do dream interpretation, you always want to say, what did I do this day? Like write it down before dream. You could write down, right? What today I did, blah, 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 blah. Then you write down your dream when you first wake up, and then you look at it, and it will tell you a complete story. There will be a message there. There will be something for you, especially at these big portal moments, eclipses, new moons, full moons, crescent moons, waning, waxing. When you start to understand the cycles of the moon, because that's the feminine and that's the intuition and that's the spirit world, then you start to understand the cycles and cosmology of your own life and how it fits in with those bigger universal, moments. And that's really what we're talking about when we talk about manifestation. It's about aligning and understanding where you are in this universe, what is going on, so that you understand who and what you work with and where you are. Feels very ancient. Oh my gosh, very vivid dream of a white frog. Well, what is a frog? A frog. No, see, everybody's dreaming of these animals. Grizzly bear, cardinal, deer. Yes, to all those. Interesting. I love it. Well, okay, let's go into the frog thing, because I get that a lot. People always tell me about the frogs. And frogs is about cleansing, it's about ribbiting, ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. It's about speaking your voice. And then you think about the white. White is purity. White is, it could be a lot of different ways. And depending on what's going on in your life. So we have to look at what's going on in your life. But white has a lot of meaning. It's a reflective color. It means purity, but also in ancient times, if we go back to the ancient, it represented the spirit world. See, in most cultures, black was not the color you would wear at a funeral, because black is absorbent. So when you want to absorb energy, then you wear black. The proper color to wear at a funeral is white, because white is reflective. So think about it. When you're wearing black all the time, you're absorbing energy all the time. And so that's why in certain cultures, they say don't wear black, because black is absorbing energy. But if you were doing like a power ritual and you wanted to absorb that power, you would wear black. But at a funeral, with all the death energy and all the emotions and all the sadness and the grief and all that, you don't want to absorb that energy. So you wear white. And that's why in Asian culture, they would wear white. Now they wear black, but they should be wearing white again. But sometimes when your ancestors come and they're all dressed in white, they're trying to tell you, I'm in the spirit world now. Sweet Pea says, oh my God, I've been seeing or hearing Phoenix pop up everywhere, but I thought it meant I need to go to Phoenix. See, that's another way the spirits talk to you, is they'll keep saying a certain word or a certain thing. And then now you're getting a new perspective, but what is the phoenix? The phoenix is the bird that, burned itself down to the ashes to rise again. There's also a Chinese version of this phoenix that you might want to look into. I can't remember the name right now, but you can look it up. And that has like a really powerful meaning too. It's kind of like the thunderbird. I'm definitely visiting Sedona because I'm feeling called to go there. Oh, I hope I'm there when you're there. The phoenix is about, rising again, rising up from the ashes of the old. We rise to the top, and so a lot of you are having, very interesting animals too, like raccoon. Raccoon is about your mask, the mask that you wear. You guys, how they have the black and, it's a mask. And so what was the animals? It was the hawk. That's why I said those are powerful animals, because the raccoon represents the mask that we wear, and then the hawk is the messenger, and that's the bird that flies in between spirit world and in this world, material world. And then also owl is about clairvoyance and overcoming deception and being able to look in all directions to know, who and what to trust. And a lot of times when we work with owl medicine, it's like, some people think it's like bad to work with it, because they think of it more like a sorcery medicine or deceptive medicine or, something spooky. But an owl also can represent wisdom. And there's a lot of, of the ancient gods and goddesses that would have owl as their medicine, because the owl can see every which way. They can look this way, that way, and they can look at all directions, and they have excellent seeing, especially in the nighttime. They can see really good in the night. April, you're coming to Sedona too? Come on down. I'll be there in June. So is seeing a black frog bad since green ones are usually associated with greed? No, I don't think so. A black one, think about what's the color black. So see, when you're interpreting your visions or your dreams or your messages, you always want to first go with what you feel, just intuitively, right? Because what's good for me may be bad for you, and bad for, it could be like that, like, because we all have different perceptions of life. And that's why I always teach, like, don't go to the generic version. Okay, don't go to what somebody else said. Go to the ancient version if you're going to go to any version, but first go to your internal version and say, okay, what does black mean for me? Like when because some people love wearing the color black. It's their favorite color. They wear it with everything, and so that has a different association than somebody who's like, ooh, I can't stand black. But black is the color of everything. When you mix all the colors together, it's black. And black usually means protection. It means, absorbing. It's an absorbing energy. And it's also like the black hole. So it's a primal energy, dark moon, dark energy, which is not necessarily bad energy. It just depends on how you're using it. Because unfortunately, what I have found is that the dark hides in the light. That's why they say with energy and authenticity, it's better if you're dark, be dark. If you're light, be light. It's the worst to be gray, which is somewhere in the middle. Oh, thanks for coming in, Shakan. Hope to see you again. You started feeding them. You have crows, and in reality too, they stalk me. Crows are also a messenger of the spirit world, and it's all in how we interpret things. Like the crow, there's certain animals that get a bad rap, and crows are one of them. But, just wondering, what if we switch around? What does that mean? You love them. I didn't see it as bad because I'm so curious and was amazed that I saw something like that in person, and it actually hopped towards me while I was burning a petition and stayed there until I left. Yeah, so like also frog is protector. So maybe that's a protector animal. See how and when they show up, That's the thing, is like, see how these messengers show up in your life, because it's different for everybody. And everybody has different spirit animals, lessons, blessings, things like that. But the animals reveal themselves as a message. You know how sometimes you're just walking along and then something's rustling in the bush? And you're like, what's that? Why is it rustling in the bush? It's trying to get your attention, right? Trying to get your attention. You love the crows. Sometimes I'm sparkly and bright, other times dark AF. Yeah, and that's authentic. That's authentic. That is authentic. That's how you should be. If you're dark, be dark. If you're light, be light. The problem is that we're living in a time now where we think spirituality is supposed to be ultra positive and just, good vibes all the time. I'm always loving light. I know negative vibes here. And that's not the reality of life. That's not the reality of life. Sometimes, like you're saying, you're going to be rocking it. Oh my gosh, today all this amazing stuff happened. I fell in love. I made a bunch of money. I did this. I did that. And you're like, whoo, on cloud nine, right? Then the next day, oh my God, I lost all my money. I broke up with the person. So that's life. And the real key of life is, how do we stay, like I said earlier, consistent. Where's the beat, even though the melody keeps changing? Where's the beat? And that when we find that stability, that's what we call security. That's the foundation for everything in life. And then when we manifest from that part, then it's more powerful, because we know that we can overcome all the ups and downs and this and that. But in spirituality, really and truly, the ancient way is that, you allow yourself to be authentically you. And people who will love you for the light and the dark. That's the thing about love. That's unconditional love, is that you will love somebody even in their darkest times. Not if they're abusing you, but when they're going through hard times, you don't like turn your back away because they're got bad vibes now. That's the problem right now. When I feel triggered, grizzly bear shows up. That's a good totem to have. The grizzly bear will, help you. You choose both and your upside down smile. What is the best to find the ancient meaning of animals? Where is the best to find the ancient meaning? Well, the thing about it is that if you want to find the ancient meaning of the animals, you go back to the original stories. So you go back to the indigenous stories. Maybe you have stories from your family that were passed down. Like even if you're from like the Appalachian Mountains or certain towns, some people have ancient stories passed down, but you may not. You may have to go research ancient stories and books and oral traditions. And there's a lot of different ways. Even the Bible has ancient meanings. There's any ancient story will have an animal in it. And the animals that are the most ancient are the ones that we have the most stories about. So like in Native culture, coyote. I don't know how many thousands of stories there are about coyote, because the coyote came from the first world, the underworld, and that's why they're the trickster. And there's so many stories around the coyote, right? The hawk. There's a lot of stories about hawk. There's a lot of stories about dragonflies. Dragonflies is ancient. And documentaries, books, you kind of step away from the spiritual stuff and go into more of the historical and educational stuff, and you will find the ancient meanings. Like, I bet a lot of people on here didn't know that the dragonfly is the ancient ancestor of the songbirds. The birds that we now have, the cardinals and all those songbirds, were originated from the dragonfly. Oh, you saw dragonfly today? They're really powerful. They're an ancient, I think they're something like 400 million years old. And there's a lot of stories around the dragonfly, how the dragonfly flies around the vortex, which is the new beginnings or the portals in the earth where there's that universal energy. And they fly around that and they help you go into those places and spaces. So when you see dragonfly kind of flying around like a really, powerful place, that means there's like a portal there. There's a new beginning there, and you can tap into that energy and you can, create, because that's the whole thing. But the thing is that if you're on this live, I know you have a deep connection with the earth. That's the whole thing. I know you have a deep connection with the earth, and that's why you're getting these messages, because you're here to hold a certain vibration for the earth. That's why we come together. Even though we're like in a virtual setting and we don't see each other and we don't know each other, we're spiritually connected. And every single person who sees this live is in this energy now. And that's what we're creating. And that energy is to support and help the earth, Mother Earth. You're here because you hold a certain frequency and vibration that is in alignment with the Mother Earth. And that's what you have to remember, because when you have that certain energy and that frequency, it's not easy. Okay, Because everything in this earth is like opposite of what you do. You know what I mean? It's like the other day I was at the store and the lady, she just all of a sudden was like, okay, these flowers for the next 30 minutes are $2. And everybody was like, oh my God, $2, because they were like more than half. I mean, some of those flowers are like $18, $19. And she was selling them for $2 because she just needed to clear them out to bring in new flowers. And it was like everybody in that store at that time was in that frequency, and people were just grabbing flowers and they were pouring them into their cart. You know, they didn't plan on buying all them flowers today. And it was so cool to see people coming out of the store with cart loads of flowers that were probably just going to go to the trash. And one of the girls who was there, she said, we're saving the bees. And it was so incredible because she was right. We were planting, like, all those flowers went into all our neighborhoods, and now the bees are going to enjoy them. The hummingbirds are going to enjoy them. All the bugs and moths and all the bugs we don't even know, and life is going to feed off those flowers. Not to mention the humans who are going to enjoy looking and smelling the flowers and this and that. And it was like a portal was opened at that time, a creation portal of the right people coming. Because I never go to that store. I was in a whole nother area and a whole other place. And I just happened to be like, okay, I got to stop here on my way home. And right at that moment, for 30 minutes, that portal was there. It was incredible to see. Just, that's just a silly example. But we're all right now in this time and space creating an energy. And what brought us here is Mother Earth, or what I work with is grandmother energy, because we are all here at a very crucial time in history, in her story, to be the holders for Mother Earth, the protectors for her, to develop ourselves, mind, body, spirit, to come together as sacred community and talk about these things and ask questions and be in a space where we can be ourselves. Because one of the biggest things people tell me all day long is that this is a lonely path. When you're on a spiritual path, and especially the deeper you go, it's lonely. Because the rest of the world doesn't think like you, it doesn't behave like you, it doesn't understand you, it doesn't support you. And you need those pockets of time, and time is so precious, everybody's so busy. You need to carve out a pocket of time in your day, in your week, to be in that frequency, to be in that vibration. Like a lot of people said, thank you for the confirmation. It's because you need to know that there are other people like you who think like you, who are also in this vibration and who are, holders of this energy, because we're all over. We're not like all concentrated in one place. We're kind of all over. Your mom gifted me a dragonfly necklace, and she told me that they're very special. Yes, dragonflies are very, very special. Ain't that something? We're talking about dragonflies, and there you go. A lot of this is confirmation for people, because you see these things and you just miss them. Most people miss them. And they get a dragonfly necklace and they're like, oh, that's pretty. And they add it to their collection, but they'll miss the spiritual significance of it. So when you're seeing a dragonfly, when you're gifted a dragonfly, it means it's like a new beginning. That's what dragonflies really represent, is a new beginning. And, I would work with that necklace and speak to it and empower it and ask it to show you the next steps. Because just like you see a dragonfly, when you wear jewelry of significance like that, it has a special power. And especially because your mother gave it to you, now we're talking about like generational. Now we're talking generational. If someone asks who I am, I always mention grandmother first. I love that. And I think it's really cool because I feel like, especially in the next generations, people will remember grandmother. They won't, That's the hardest thing when I was initiated, was I was given the name, SongBirdGrandMother. And the grandmother part is always the part I struggle with because that people don't even know what it means. They always think, oh, well, you're not a grandmother, you're not old, you're not this. It's like, well, that's not what it means. It's that I'm the holder, and that's what I work with, is the grandmother medicine. And it's a ceremonial thing. And so grandmother, they could be any age. It could be anybody, but it means that you work with the grandmother. It's an interesting thing because it's something very ancient, but it's been kind of lost through the ages, but it's still preserved in certain lineages. But we all have to go back to the grandmother because that's who we live on. And especially at this time in our human history, if we don't start working with the grandmother and really respecting her and honoring her and, going back to ceremony with her and, doing all that we used to do in our original instructions, what is our future going to be? Our future is very bleak, because eventually what grandmother will do is she will just kick us off. Because she's that powerful, and she'll start again. She'll kick us all off and start again. And you know how they always say, like, the cockroaches will be the ones that survive. I have a theory. It's going to be the cockroaches and the Japanese beetles, because those suckers don't die either. They eat up all your flowers. But it's a very, and that's what our prophecies talk about, and that's what our teachings talk about, how out of balance we are with the mother, with the grandmother. And you just watch the movie Mother. I haven't seen that. It's the two paths. It's the fear, it's the love. It's, it's creation and destruction. That's what it is. Well, there's a lot of ways you can interpret the two paths: love and fear, creation, destruction, and healer or killer. I was doing this Taoist program one time. I was working with this very powerful master, and he said, you either are a killer or a healer. You can't be both. And I feel like that's the same with the love and fear and creation and destruction. In Hinduism, they talk a lot about creation and destruction. Yeah, exactly. Kali. See, Kelly and me got the same vibe at the same time. It is a metaphysical movie for what Mother Earth has gone through. Oh, really? I have to see that. It's gut-wrenching. See how her story is coming back? Because last year in 2021, at solstice, winter solstice of 2021 in the Tonopoali, in what they call the Aztec calendar now, it said that the energy of Malinali came back. And if you research Malinali, the first thing that comes up is she was like this betrayer and all, like this whole story. But the real original meaning of Malinali was grass. That's what it actually means. It's the medicine woman. And the day is the grass. And 80% of the earth is covered with grass. And that's the power of grass. Grass can grow anywhere. It's universal. It's healing. When you see the color green, it heals you. And so that's like the ancient meaning of grass. And they said that in the old age, which is the patriarchy, as we call it, Malinali was left behind. And Malinali stands for ancient feminine magic. That's the interpretation of it. But they had a lot of ancient rituals, ceremonies, rites of passage. You know how certain tribes, when you hit puberty, you have a rite of passage, right? We don't do that anymore. But there was this ancient magic, and that returned to the earth in December of 2021 with the winter solstice. However, with the feminine rising, or the return of the feminine magic, the first stage of it is it manifests as anger. because it's anger and abandonment for how she was treated in the last cycle. And I thought it was really interesting because what also started to happen around that time that I noticed is an explosion of the occult stuff, like tarot cards. I walked into a Barnes and Noble of all places, and at the very beginning of the store, where they sell stuff, where they really want to sell stuff, was all this tarot, crystal, all this stuff about spiritual stuff. And I've never seen that at the front of the Barnes and Noble store. Like back in the day when I used to go to Barnes and Noble, that stuff was in the way corner near the bathroom, hidden. Stuff nobody wanted to look at. It's like way in the back section. It was like itty bitty. Now you go to the store and it's like in the center of the store. It's huge. It's in the front. It's like crystal grids, this, that for kids. It's exploded. And it's the return of the ancient magic. And that's how she's coming back. She's coming back into the mainstream. And she's going to first start where she can find you and get you. And then the more you work with her, the deeper she'll take you. And it's going to be the feminine that brings that back, because that's why the mothers and grandmothers were so angry, was because their feminine magic was taken in the last cycle. And now it's returning through the children and grandchildren. Sea of grass. Oh my gosh, that's my life. 2021, I went nuts, literally. Yeah, that's the Malinali. That's the ancient magic returning. Yes, you had to search for it or ask and get dirty looks. I know, right? That's beautiful. Yeah, it is. I mean, I was just shocked. I mean, there's a part of me, because I'm from that generation where it's like, you got tarot cards in the front of the store? I remember you had to go like to some special witchy store way in the and now it's like everywhere. It's like, look at TikTok. It's just like exploded. But I come from that time where I was hidden, and that's where Malinali has been. That's the story of Malinali. Malinali was left way behind. But the teaching of Malinali and Hichli-Upochli, we'll take it back to the hummingbird medicine, is that in order to have success in your life, you have to have both. You have to have both. You can't have just one. And having both is this. On one hand, you have discipline. And that's the Hichli-Upochli hummingbird medicine. The discipline is structure. You structure your day. You structure your time. You structure your life, right? It's structured. It's not like militant, but it's structured. You have a container for it. And then Malinali, because she's ancient magic and she's fluid, she's moving, she's constantly moving. So we could call Hichli-Upochli is what they call like masculine energy, right? The action. And then Malinali is the opportunity. And that's the magic. Because you don't know how or when or what is going to happen, but it just like appears out of nowhere, right? So you have hard work and action meeting opportunity, and that's success. And that's what the prayer sign is. That's what those hands together means, is you have discipline meeting opportunity, success. And that's the teaching. And you can't have one without the other, because what will happen is that if you are disciplined with no Malinali, no magic, you just keep working hard. Those people who just like, I work and work and work and work and nothing happens, and you're frustrated because you're just working. You're just working and nothing's happening, and you're always frustrated because no opportunity. That's unbalanced, unequal. Yeah. Then Malinali. Some people, those people too, opportunity out of nowhere, they don't know what they're doing. And here's another opportunity. And they're just like getting slapped over the head over and over and over again with opportunities and magic and mystery. And it's like, wow, you have a very magical life, but they have no discipline. And so the opportunity comes, and because I don't have a container or structure for it, it flops, it goes, and then another opportunity comes, and then it flops and goes, and it's over and over and over again. And that's also very frustrating, because here you are with all this magical opportunities, and everything just it's calling you out. I'm calling a lot of us out. I mean, I've lived on both ends. So, that's you, dang it. Lots of opportunities and no structure. Yeah, that's a lot of us. That's like Sedona. You're so awesome. Much love, my friend. I need to order something to protect me at work. Yeah, just let me know, Sonia. I could create something for you. Thank you for this wonderful live. I will look forward for you again. Thank you again. You're welcome, Kathleen. Yeah, definitely follow. I'm on every Monday, 8 p.m. and I have my replays on YouTube. So you can always find me there. But yeah, that's how it goes. And don't, that's at least you know what it is. See, that's part of knowing thyself. It's like, dang, I have the Malinali, but I don't have the Hitchley Poachly. I don't have the structure, the discipline. Oh, I have the Hitchley Poachly, but I don't have the Malinali. You have a 13-year-old, so I give yourself a break. Oh, good. Give yourself a break. Reminds me of the Jebus parable, pouring new wine in an old wine skin. Yeah. Mm-hmm. See you Monday, Kathy. Yeah. It's the thing is like, if this is a cool thing about it. Okay. If you have Malinali, that's actually harder to have than the discipline. Discipline is actually not hard, because discipline is just the day in, day out thing. And what do they say? 21 days makes a habit. So if you do something consistently for 21 days, you're going to build a habit, right? And then you just keep doing it, except for we're lazy. That's the real problem. Lazy. That's why Buddhist teachings are really good for that, because it disciplines the mind. But once you can get the discipline, if you have Malinali, then all day long you get opportunities, right? But what I find is more harder is getting the Malinali. Actually, that's actually more harder. The magic part, doing the rituals, doing the whatever it is that you do to the ancient magic, because not everybody has that, and that's why you have to go to a shaman or a healer or somebody to help you with that part, because that's what we have is we have the Malinali. That's the spirit world. The spirit world is the one who blesses you with the blessings, right? And that's why you have to learn altars and, all that stuff. But not everybody has that. So that's why they go to a professional for that, because that's what we specialize in. And so that's why in ancient times, people always went to shamans, oracles, healers, medicine people, whatever they called them. They would go to those people for the Malinali part, for the clarity and the direction and the focus, but they would also go for the magic, because that's our specialty. And that's what we work with. And that's what the grandmother energy is how to work with the mystical and the divine. Yeah, I do offer services on this. I have private sessions, and I have blessings. I have ceremonies. That's my whole work. That's what I devote my life to, is helping people to get what they want in their life, to change their destiny, to change the direction of their life, right? Yeah, discipline is hard. It isn't easy. It's hard. You've been trying to build discipline by saying I get to instead of I have to. Yeah, have tos are just like, like downer energy, right? What can I do or be doing to honor grandmother? I don't know any of ceremonies or indigenous teachers. You don't have to know ceremonies or indigenous teachers. You form a relationship with grandmother. So first thing I would do is get out into nature, sit with the trees, plant flowers if you can, talk to her. You can start with something simple like tobacco. Get some good organic, they do sell ceremonial tobacco, but if you don't have ceremonial tobacco, go and get organic tobacco in a pouch and start laying it down to the earth and saying your gratitude and saying, grandmother earth, I want to form a relationship with you. I want to hear you. I want to be good to you. I want to do right by you. Can you help me? That's all you have to do. You just ask for help. And then you listen and you follow. Maybe a dream will come. Maybe a person will say something to you. Maybe you'll meet somebody, it'll start opening the doors. But the best time to do it is sunrise. You wake up with the birds and you sing your song. That's the teaching. You wake up with the birds. You take your tobacco. I don't have tobacco with me right here, but you take your tobacco and you blow on it. You blow your prayer and you sit with it and you pray with it. And then you offer it with love. And that's how you open the door. Grandmother is always waiting for you. That's the thing about it. You don't have to know these things because we all have a connection with the earth. We all have a connection with the mother. She's our umbilical cord. Every single person has a connection to her. It's just we don't often, pay attention to it. We don't recognize it. We're too busy. And just taking that small time to connect to Grandmother Earth, it changes everything. It opens the door. You'll find a lot of good, positive changes just by opening the door to gratitude. That's how you connect to Mother Earth, is through your heart and through gratitude. One of the things that I learned over the years is the more grateful we are, the more happy we are, and the more connected we are. And that's how the spirit world, I see all these videos nowadays talking about, don't do this, do this. The sage opens a bad portal. No, it doesn't. It is all this conflicting crap. Okay. None of that matters. It doesn't matter. Oh, that's a fake. Oh, that's a this. Oh, that. None of that matters. None of it matters. It's all perception and judgment. The truth is in your heart, and nobody can take that from you. Nobody can take that from you. That's all you focus on. Don't focus on anything else but purifying your heart. That's the only thing that matters in the spiritual realms, is your heart. And that's why all ancient cultures talk about your heart and what's in your heart and living from your heart, living from your authenticity. No teaching ever says none of the real teachings don't say, oh, this is, no, they don't do that. They don't nitpick on things, because the way I was taught is, how do you know a fake is when the spirits don't show up. That's the bottom line. If you're at a ceremony or a healing thing or something and you don't feel anything in your heart, then that's a fake. If you're not feeling something, if you're not connecting to your heart, if you're not in that space of beauty, of heart space, and every teacher is different, every tradition is different, everybody's different. So there's a whole buffet you can choose from. But the truth of it is in your heart, and the ones you're resonating with, and the teachings you're resonating with, and the way that it's coming into your being. That's what you pay attention. So if people, you go to a ceremony and everything's falling apart and nothing's working out, and that's maybe something's going wrong. But ultimately, everything is inside of you. It's in the heart, and that's the only thing you focus on. And the nice thing about the spirit world is it's not judgmental like the people are, like your friends and family and whoever strangers are and trolls on the internet. The spirit world isn't like that. Spirit world just wants us to thrive, and they know we're up against challenges here, and they help us. The good spirits. But it's really about gratitude, and you want to connect to Grandmother. She's right there waiting. Right there. And the thing about it is, I've heard from a lot of students over the years how they know they're really connecting to Grandmother after doing offerings or altar work, or, like I talked about the tobacco and just blowing, or you can use cornmeal, You could use corn pollen. There's a lot of different herbs. Tobacco is probably the most accessible for people. But how I know they're connecting to grandmother is they will say, I was lighting my candle, or maybe sometimes I light a candle for them, or I do something for them, or we're in session or something. And all of a sudden they say, I'm feeling this love like I have never felt in my life. It's this overwhelming love. And some people will call it gratitude. That's mother. That's the feeling of grandmother. It's this overwhelming feeling of being loved. It's a love beyond any partnership. It's a love beyond any mother-child even. Probably that's the closest, is like when somebody has a baby and their whole entire soul opens and there's just all this love. That's the love of the mother. But it's like beyond that. It's undescribable. It's this feeling of just incredible love. And you can get, a lot of times people will do like plant medicines, like ayahuasca will give you that feeling, and that's why she's there. Ayahuasca gives her whole life. This vine gives its whole life for us to have a glimpse, just a tiny glimpse of the spirit world, of how much the spirit world loves us, of how much the mother loves us. That's the feeling of grandmother. Oh, good night, Rediddy. You're welcome. And also my cat is here. There's my kitty. She's purring. This is Peaky Bee. You had that happen once when you fell asleep with candles burning. It was intense and almost unreal. Yeah. A lot of people say they have it when they're burning candles, because that's the spirit world, right? No, thank you. Yeah, that's Peaky Bee. She's 15. She's been with me for a very long time now, and she's been through many, many ceremonies. Oh, your cat's meowing. They're talking to each other. That's funny. Cats are so they're so powerful. They're one of the most spiritual animals that I've been around. Wolves are, horses are, cats, dogs. Dogs are another one, they really love you. But when you start working with grandmother, it's all about gratitude and thanks and just acknowledging the beauty that we walk upon every day. The thing about it is that sometimes people use spirituality to escape. I see that a lot, especially like in Sedona. It's like, I'm going to escape my reality. Like spirituality is supposed to be something separate from your reality, when in fact it is your reality. Spirituality is in every breath, because you're breathing in and out of spirit. And so spiritual work is really about incorporating those mystical experiences into your daily life. And I think a lot of times we think it has to be these like grand enlightenment moments. But most of the time, it's just when you're sitting, when you're working, when you're just in that space of gratitude and love. That's really when the spirit will really catch you. Those are those moments of sacredness. And so really, when we think about what is spirituality, it is the way you move in the world. It is just who you are. There's no separation between who you are and your spirit. It's just that, we think it has to be something different or out of the ordinary, or, ceremony will do that. Ceremony will give you the power and stuff. But the real power of your spiritual practice is the daily discipline. It goes back to Hishley Poetry, because in order to have those mystical out of body, oh my God, Malinali moments, we have to have the everyday discipline to achieve those, or we'll miss them. Because a lot of times people come to ceremony, they have these incredible experiences, and they're quickly forgotten, and then they're chasing the next ceremony, they're chasing the next thing. Same thing like everything. You do sit outside daily and you hike often. Thank you. I will do that. Oh, good, Michelle. Yeah, try it and let me know how it goes. Everything that we do is really just to breathe in the moments. And see, in the teachings and the indigenous teachings, they speak about how it is a really rare and sacred privilege to be a human. It is like something that we worked very hard and very long to become. And so the teachings say, like, you have to live 7 lifetimes of everything to become a human. So we have to have 7 lifetimes as this cat, 7 lifetimes as a tree, 7 lifetimes as a rock, 7 lifetimes as a butterfly, 7 lifetimes as a cockroach, 7 lifetimes as an ant. Think about all the things you have to be 7 times to become a human. And the emphasis is that to be a human is a very precious and sacred gift. It's not something, trivial. And there really is no difference between us. We're all humans. If you're a human, it means that you have an opportunity to live a very sacred life. And you're given the choice of how you live that life. And I know there's a lot of talk about new souls, old souls, whatever, but there's really no difference if you think of it like that. We all worked to become a human. It wasn't just given to us. And then in Buddhism, they say, we've all had aeons and aeons of lives. They don't even consider new souls, old souls, star seeds, or any of this new stuff. The ancient teachings all say that we are given a sacred honor and privilege and responsibility to be here as human beings. And why that is because human beings have intelligence. We have different intelligence than this cat, than the dog, than the rat, than the horse, than the mountain. Like, we have human intelligence. And that's what the skull represents. When you're a skull carrier, like some of you probably have skulls and like skulls, and we're skull carriers. And that's what the ancient teaching of the skull is you need to use your human intelligence for the embetterment of our human race. And not only that, humans make a lot of decisions for the whole planet. And if we don't have human intelligence, we make very bad and dumb decisions that can affect generations. And that's why it's a sacred responsibility and duty and honor to be a human, because humans, we have this huge brain and we're supposed to use it in the proper ways. Yes, we are very powerful in spirit. Yeah, we're very powerful in spirit, and we're very powerful in being, just think about, so that's why I think it's so sad that so many people struggle with depression and suicide and thoughts of suicide and sadness and sorrow, and they don't want to be who they are. They don't like the way they look. They don't, they're looking at all the bad things. But if they knew that they were so sacred and powerful and that their life had incredible meaning, think about how different our world would be if we were taught that. In indigenous cultures, we're taught that. taught from a very young age, you are sacred, you are special, you are here as a human being, you are here for good things. That's the things we need to empower our children with, not material stuff, but empower their spirit, empower their mind, empower their being, so that they grow up to be empowered and to make very good decisions for themselves and the earth, for everybody, for humans, for humanity. It changes everything. I love that teaching, and I learned it tonight. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, Kelly. And now you get to pass it on. That's why I do this. So you pass it on now. So it's all of our responsibility. It's all of our teaching. These are the original instructions we were given, is that, we are here as sacred beings. Oh, good. We're here. We're here. And that's another thing, is we don't know what other people are going through. They may have a smile on their face. They may look like they have it all. They might be living in the big mansion with the fancy car and the husband and wife and the kids and the whatever. But we don't know what they're really going through. Because all of that could be like that raccoon, that facade, that mask that they wear. And so, especially those of you who are watching, it's kind of your responsibility to remember that, because you have a power within your spirit that attracts people to you. And because of that power, it's about using it in the right ways to help people, not to hurt people. Because people who have spiritual power, you have to remember that. If, we call it empaths or clairvoyance or whatever, but that's really spiritual power. When you have those kind of gifts, you have to be extra careful with what you say and what you do. You've overcome deep depression and finally accepted I'm a very powerful being. I'm really happy to hear that, Isabel. You are a powerful being. You are all very powerful beings. And I really pray for each one of you to do what it is you're meant to do in this life, and to overcome whatever obstacle it is, and to remember that no matter what the challenge is, you will succeed and you will overcome it. Because the thing about when you have I've had a lot of students over the years who have had suicidal thoughts, and sometimes even went so far, not to the door of it, but thankfully spirit caught them before they did. Because that's something a lot of spiritual people suffer with, because of what I said earlier in the live, is that you don't really fit into this society. And the thing is that once you can overcome those spirits, those dark spirits, and you can really step into your power, you have a lot of good things you can do on this earth. And you can help a lot of people because you've been there before. You've seen it, you've experienced it, you understand it. And it comes from a different level than somebody who's never been there, never seen it, never done it. So thank you so much for joining me tonight, everybody. This was kind of a really deep live, and I really love how our community came together. And I'll be back on next Monday at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you joined late and you want to watch the replay, it is available on YouTube. But I hope to see you next week. And I pray for all of you to have a wonderful and peaceful and beautiful week. Till we meet again, many blessings.